Hi everyone, it's Satiksha from Simple Crowdfunding, and in today's interview, I've got James Cross from Crossover Property with us, who's talking about his current Spring Lane project and also talking about his experience in property. James, thank you so much for joining me today.
No, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
So, James, I think probably the first place to start is, can you just tell everyone a little bit about yourself? I'm really keen to sort of talk about your experience in property and the types of developments you've done.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're an SME-based developer based in the East Midlands, so Nottingham. We started Crossover Property back in 2018. So this is our sixth year in property now. And my previous background to that was mechanical engineering. So I've always come from quite a technical background. In the sort of years we've started Crossover, we've done well over 50 projects in total now, starting from a mixture of simple houses, flips, going into commercial conversions and new build schemes. So we've sort of done a lot of projects and sort of grown steadily and not too fast, not too soon. And now we've got a couple of nice development schemes we're building out this year. So yeah,
that's fantastic. And you've currently got one of your schemes on the Simple platform. That's currently funding. So I know tranche one of it has funded, and we'll run through the details of that. So this is Spring Lane. So what I'm going to do is share my screen, and then maybe you can talk us through some of the details of the project. Would that be okay?
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Perfect. So just give me a second and I'll get that done. So before we actually talk about the project, there's just a couple of things to be aware of. Every investment opportunity involves risk, and everyone should read the risk statements before progressing. All the information is available in the presentation itself and the investment memorandum that's available for download. So what we're going to cover off is a little bit about yourself. I know you've given us a high level view of what you've done so far. The current project is basically the Spring Lane project. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is it's actually a former kennels and cattery business that the owners had a house on site which they were living in, and then they ran the business from the site as well. They actually got original planning permission last year in 2023 to build 5 new build bungalows. We've agreed we exchanged back in June 2023 and due to complete shortly. With a delayed completion to allow them to shut the business down and allow us to actually tweak the planning slightly to improve on the scheme. So what's on the screen actually is an old layout which we've got revised now with new garages being put in and a better internal layout. So yeah, I know every bungalow is going to be exactly the same. So it's quite a nice repeatable new build scheme and relatively straightforward, to be honest.
Perfect. And in terms of the location?
So yeah, the location is in Lambley. It's a village just on the north east side of Nottingham. It's a really nice sort of rural, quite high-end village where it's quite sought after, especially for people wanting to sort of downsize. And we did a lot of analysis on the statistics as well. So we've got 67.5% of residents are retired or over 50. Is very similar to what we've had already interest on the bungalows. They're all over 50 wanting to downsize. You've got Gedling Country Park very nearby, and it's only a sort of 15-minute drive into the centre of Nottingham. So really sought after location.
That's great. And in terms of the specifics of this project and the investment you're seeking, can you just run through some of these numbers on screen?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're offering is a minimum investment amount of £100 per share. This is for a projected 30% return, which works out at a 22.5% annualized. And this is over a 16-month period. So there is quite a high chance, I think, we'll have that paid back prior to the 16 months. But we've sort of said 16 months to allow for the build process and then the sale process as well, to make that 30% return.
And you've accommodated for something like a 4-month sales process in that, haven't you?
At least, yeah, we actually plan to build it out in 9 months, all being well. So if we've got a 3-month overrun, we've got 12 months to build with the overrun, and then a 4-month sale process. But we've already got these on the market as a very soft launch, and we've got, I think, 10 registered buyers now, or registered people interested in buying. And they're just got to sell their houses, and I'm very confident we'll have a lot of reserved plots. So we should not really have too much of a sales period, because it should be a simultaneous completion once we finished it, all being well.
Perfect. And in terms of the amount that you're looking to raise for this project, the maximum amount is 750,000. Now, these funds are being released in tranches, and tranche 1, which has now closed, has already raised over 250,000, hasn't it? And tranche 2 is currently open.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And then with regards to the financial breakdown of this project, can you just run through some of these numbers for me?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've agreed a purchase price at £1 million. Like I said, we've already exchanged on that back in June. Our total construction costs are sitting at 1.341 million, with a 10% contingency. I believe we've actually been working on that in the background, and that's actually come down a little bit. Which is obviously a positive for the scheme. And our total development cost will be sitting around 2.6, with a gross profit of around 540,000. It's hopefully going to go up slightly, just due to the construction costs coming down. And yeah, I think that's a summary on the figures.
That's great. So in terms of the equity document, and basically all the information for this project, it's available on the simple crowdfunding platform, and the documents are available to registered users. And by signing into your account or registering an account on simple crowdfunding doesn't mean you then have to go ahead and invest, but it does allow you to actually review the documents in detail. And James, you're happy to address any questions that people may have on the back of the information. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, any questions, just I'll ask them forward, and we'll get some answers back out straight away.
Perfect. That's fantastic. That's great, James. Thank you for running us through the sort of high-level details of the project. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen, so then we've got some questions that existing investors and interested people have already asked, and it'd be really good to cover off some of those, if that's okay. So
Yeah,
just give me a moment. I'll stop sharing my screen. Perfect. So the first question is, this build of the bungalows is a traditional build, isn't it? And
yes.
Did you consider other construction methods as part of the evaluation of the site?
Yeah, we did actually. So we looked at timber frame and ICF construction methods, but we sort of took a view on it that in weighing up the time and the cost, that traditional was actually still going to be the best option for us. We very nearly went with timber frame, but it's because it's a single-story dwelling. It didn't really warrant the actual speed of it. So and it's only 5 units, so it definitely worked out better for traditional build.
Fantastic. And then we all know any property development project is it's not always a straight path, is it? It doesn't always work out the way you plan it from the beginning. There are always sort of challenges along the way. In terms of potential risks associated with the project, what have you identified, and how have you tried to mitigate some of those risks?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess one of the big risks is construction costs going up, which we saw 2 years ago, where they were just rising on a monthly basis. I think that's very much steadied out now. But we are using a main contractor builder, so they'll be on a fixed price JCT contract with no fluctuation provisions. So there shouldn't really be any rise in construction costs. We've allowed for a 10% contingency as well, to allow for anything, going above and beyond that we find on the site. but it's not really a particularly complicated build, so there shouldn't be anything that eats into that contingency too much. And as I mentioned previously as well, we've actually brought the construction cost down a little bit anyway, just through some sort of final technical changes and design. So I mean, I think the other risk is obviously selling the bungalows. That's the main exit. Like I say, we've already softly launched them on the market just to get a gauge, and we've already had quite a strong sort of indication from buyers who are keen on them. So I'm pretty confident we'll get them sold. We have looked at the option that if we don't have them all sold in time to pay back investors, we can either mortgage the bungalows out or exit on development finance to pay investors back in a timely manner.
So there are alternative exits being considered as a backup if needed.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Another question that sort of came up was, did you actually consider a chalet build?
Yeah, so I think that question was about sort of going up another story or going into the roof space. The issue with this is because it's in a green belt, they are very hot on the volume of the buildings, and it was basically just a no-go for doing anything two-story or anything too high. On a revised planning application, we actually had to bring the ridge of the roof down ever so slightly just to accommodate for the extra volume in garages. So it's unfortunately it's a no-go from the planning side of things. Yeah.
Got it. And you said that you've gone in to sort of tweak the planning permission. So you mentioned something about garages. Is that the change to the existing, or where's that at?
Yeah, so it's been fully approved now, so we're ready to go and execute it. But essentially, there's three main changes. One was we've added single garages to the plots. Just I felt that was quite a necessary for the people who wanted to buy these. We've done some internal changes, so we've actually divvied up the open kitchen living area to create a fourth bedroom / study room, as well as creating a separate utility and just making better use of the space. And then we decided to vault the ceilings in the kitchen living area and put some Velux windows in as well, just to make it a much nicer space, to be honest with you, for not really any extra cost. So
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Another question was the maximum raise for this project is 750,000. The question is in relation to what are your plans if you're not able to raise all of the funds?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've already raised, like I say, 250, I think just over 250 on the first tranche, which covers a large proportion. And I've already exchanged on the project myself and my own funds, so we don't really need a huge amount more. I've got some backup reserves in my own cash. So I think we need to get to about 400,000 in total. You know, anything after that is just a bonus. So yeah.
Okay, and it's always an interesting question. Other developers also are really interested in understanding why have you gone to crowd, raising funds through the crowd rather than just traditional finance?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. So, I mean, I've done multiple projects with independent investors and worked with them as equity investors. I think on this particular one, because of the level equity as well, I would need to bring several investors on board. And obviously, I wanted to do that in a compliant manner. So going through simple crowdfunding as an FCA compliant platform really just covers myself and the investors we work with. So I think that's kind of the main reason, just make sure everything's all above board and everything's been done properly.
That's good. And then another question I have about that is, once the project progresses, what's your plan in terms of providing communication and update to investors?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we plan to do on this is to do a monthly report, basically, to give investors a full update on the project of where things are at with the program, budget versus cost, and just site photos so you can see the actual progress as well. And we'll do that on a monthly basis and issue that out.
Perfect. So that's answered the majority of the questions that we've got. So James, another question that came up was about the experience of your team. Can you tell me a little bit more about them? And also, I'm keen to explore further the types of other projects you've done as well. So that would be really good if you can share that.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the minute we're in this sort of nimble team of three. We are looking actually to hire someone else full time this year. Justin, who works with me full time as a project manager, he's been with me for close to 4 years now, so pretty much since we started. And he's he's just doing his chartership as a project manager now for Ricks. I've also recently qualified with Ricks as well through the project management pathway. So I'm always trying to do some form of sort of continuous improvement. And then we've got a full-time project administrator as well, because we are quite sort of project focused. And I like to think we are quite good as a technical developer. So we're pretty on top of the technical side of things and actually delivering projects. Like I said, we've done well over 50 projects, to date, which is, they are maybe not as relevant because they're smaller, but we've come across most challenges you can find in property so far. So I like to think, I've always said it's not a question of if problems come, it's when they come. And it's all about how we deal with them. So we are fully, eyes open into any development project and understand that things do go wrong. It's just about how we solve them and how we can move forward. So I think we're pretty strong as a team with our previous experience. As you can see behind me, this is one we finished 2 years ago. So it's a big 5-bed detached house, new build scheme. It's actually about twice the size of each of these bungalows we're building. So if I can build that, half the size bungalow should be a lot easier and quicker, all being well.
Which will be great. And whilst you have a lean team, you've got quite an extended network of consultants and other suppliers that you work with anyway, haven't you?
Absolutely, yeah. We've got a very good architect firm we've worked with. We've done well over 20 projects with them that required, architectural plans. Similar to building control, we've worked with, a lot. We've got a good partner there. Structural engineers, M&E consultants. So we've got a really good sort of external team as well as our internal team. And we've worked with the same people for the past few years. We've all got good relationships and all trust each other as well, which is the main thing.
That's fantastic. James, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. For anyone who is interested in finding out more about James, Crossover Property and Spring Lane, then head to the Simple Crowdfunding website and the project details are on the platform. If you have any questions about the company, the project itself, then please reach out. We're very, very happy to help. James, thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you for having me.